Today I will be showing you how two or more textures can be controlled in one material using shader nodes. To kick things off, I am placing the finished product in the beginning for those who wish to copy this node network rather than follow the video. But if you are interested in the explanation and demonstration of these nodes in action, stick around because that's next. I'll go ahead and create a new material to get us started and switch our workspace to the shading workspace. For this demonstration, you will not need the default Principal BSDF node, but this node can still be used with this method in any other project. I have 3 royalty-free images from Pixabay I already downloaded and linked in the description if you wish to use these image textures specifically. Just as an FYI, the mud splatter texture does not come transparent from Pixabay. I made that image transparent in Gimp, an open source Photoshop software that I linked in the description. If you're interested in learning how to make transparent images, I have that process on the end of this video after the Blender multi-texture material demonstration part. Back to the tutorial. Now use the shortcut Ctrl-T. Blender adds a mapping node and texture coordinate node to the image I selected while using this shortcut. To use this shortcut, if not already enabled on your end, go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and check the box next to Node Wrangler. If you're not seeing it in your list, you can use the search bar above to make it easier to find. Connect the output of the mapping node to the inputs of the remaining 2 image nodes and make sure you are using UV as your texture coordinate output. The other outputs work, but for this demonstration I am using UV. Let's move our material output node to the right side to make space for 2 mixed shader nodes, which I will use to connect the 3 images together and then output them through one path, or as Blender calls these connection lines, node noodles. All 3 images are now being blended together, and the intensity of one image over the other is controlled by the factor scrub bar on the mixed shader nodes. But this factor input can offer more than basic mixing control. To start, I will demonstrate a gradient texture node being plugged into a color ramp node, where the first color scrubber represents the intensity of the lower or second input of the mixed shader node, and the second color scrubber represents the upper or first input of the mixed shader node. Keep the 2 colors black and white so that they are direct opposites to each other. This tells Blender that you want to see the input image being represented by the color that you want to see it at 100% of its original appearance with no mixing effects of the other images. You can change the direction of the gradient with a vector rotate node plugged between the mapping node and the gradient texture node. The last input, angle, directly controls the rotational orientation of the texture display. If you get an unexpected result, such as shown in this case, a quick fix is to switch the angle value to a negative number or leave that value positive but change the third input under axis to a negative one. Now, as demonstrated in the viewport window, the image in the second input, the stucco texture, is now beginning from the top, and its sharpness of contrast with the brick texture is controlled by how close the 2 color scrubbers in the color ramp node are to each other. The closer the scrubbers, the sharper the contrast. The further they are apart, the more gradual the transition mixing becomes between the 2 images. But this is a straight line. What if you want that transition to be more randomized so it looks like stucco peeling away from the base of the wall? If you only use the noise texture node, the random splotchiness will populate across the whole wall. But if you use a mixed color node between the gradient and noise texture nodes to connect to the color ramp, then the randomness of the stucco image will be populated at the transition to the brick texture. Switching the direction of where the stucco is beginning at is as easy as swapping the color scrubbers places. The same method can be used on the next mixed shader node and can be used for however many images you wish to have on one material. That is multi-texture control for one material in a basic overview. Up next, I will show you how I made the mud image transparent in Gimp. The link to this page is in the description under title Mud, not transparent here. But I am about to show you how to make it transparent. The download format from the site is JPEG, which does not have an alpha channel and so does not support transparency, since alpha is what controls transparency. At the time of this video, Gimp 3.2.4 is the latest version, and the version I am currently using. To start, choose Open beneath the title Open an Existing Image. Go to your Downloads folder unless you moved it to a different location. Then you will go to your location you chose for it. In the bottom right window is where your layers are stored. Left-click the only layer which represents the image opened in Gimp. Then right-click it to get this menu. On the menu, just opened, left-click Add Alpha Channel. Transparency is now enabled for this image. In the top ribbon, pick Select, then press by color, which will turn your cursor into a pointing finger icon. You will want to choose the wall in between the mud splatters. This process is usually not immediate after selecting the color area, while Gimp selects all of the color space associated with the value of your selection. Press the Delete key to expose the transparency checkboard. To deselect in Gimp, use the shortcut Ctrl-Shift-A. Since this wall isn't in even color, you may have some more wall to get rid of, such as was my case. Repeat the same process of clicking in between the mud splatters and then press the Delete key to remove the wall within the selection, exposing more transparency checkerboarding. Ctrl-Shift-A to deselect everything. Now the image is ready for export. Choose File in the top right corner of the above ribbon. Next, choose Export As. In order to get transparency in the image file, change the file extension here from JPEG to PNG. The extensions are listed in order alphabetically. Export the new transparent image to your desired folder of choice. In my case, I am leaving it in Downloads for demonstration because I already have the other transparent version of this image in an associated folder. As you can see, the image now has transparency, just like the other image did. And that concludes this tutorial.